Today we're going to be setting up a DBMM game, and we're going to be going from this to this. There are 4 steps in setting up a DBMM game. First, determine invader and defender. Second, choose and place terrain. Third, make your battle plans. And fourth, deploy your armies. Today we're going to be doing a full 400-point game set in ancient China. And I will be using the Zhao from the Warring States list.
And I'm going to use the Sung Dynasty Chinese.
To determine the invader, both sides choose a season in which to invade. Spring, summer, autumn or winter. I have chosen to invade in the spring, and my aggression in my army list is 1. Bob has chosen to invade in the autumn, and Bob's aggression is 0. Now we both roll a dice, add the score to our aggression, and the winner invades in their chosen season. Okay, so I have rolled a 3 and Bob has rolled a 4. Adding on our aggression means we have tied. Therefore, the invasion is delayed by 1 season. Now we roll again. I have rolled a 4. Add my aggression of 1 makes 5. Bob has rolled a 3. Add his aggression of 0 makes 3. So I've scored more. I will be the invader. And because it's delayed, the invasion will occur in the summer. Both sides choose terrain from the options listed in the defender's army list. So here we have the Sung army list, and here we have the options available. For example, GH is Gentle Hill. If you want to see what all the abbreviations are, they're listed at the front of the book. Now, this is the standard size piece of terrain in DBMM. It is 1 feature equivalent, or 1 FE. Here I have 2 smaller pieces. These are both half FEs. And this one is the smallest allowable in the game. Of course, if you want something bigger, you're also allowed to have up to this size. This is a 2 feature equivalent, a 2 FE piece. Rivers, seas and waterways are also 2 FE pieces of terrain. As the invader, I get to choose my terrain first. I can choose between 0 and 2 feature equivalents, or 2 FE. And I have selected 2 Gentle Hills.
So as the defender, I choose at least 2 and up to 4 FE. First, I must choose any compulsory pieces which are shown as bold and underlined in the army list. So the first thing I have to choose is this waterway, which counts as 2 FE. I've also chosen a 1 FE marsh to protect my flank, a half FE built up area, and a half FE enclosed field, making a total of 4 FE.
So here is our terrain. First of all, the built up area and the waterway will be placed by the person who chose them. The other pieces of terrain will be limited by 2 die rolls. So here we have a blue dice. This will limit the side, and the red dice will limit the distance from that side or another piece of terrain. So for sides, we go around from the defender's left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5 is chosen by the defender, and Bob has chosen that side, so that side is now 4 and 5. 6 is chosen by the invader. I have chosen this side, so this side will be 2 and 6.
Okay, so each terrain piece is placed by the player who chose it, but the order in which they're placed is determined by this list on page 21 of the rules. Now the first thing that has to go down is seas and waterways. Waterway has to go on the short edge, so you can see that I've placed mine over here. Now the next on the list from the pieces that we've chosen is this marsh. So for this piece I'm going to roll 2 dice. The blue represents the side and the red represents the distance. So that's side 5. Now I chose side 5 to be my own edge, so this place will be placed somewhere along this edge and it will be placed within 6 base widths of it. And the other restriction is that it has to be placed closer to this edge than any other. So I can place it around here.
So the next terrain that we have are the gentle hills. They are my hills, so I get to place them. Here is my first one. Again, blue will be for side, red will be for distance. So I've rolled a 6 for side, that is my side, and 4 for distance. Here I have a stick. This stick is for 5 long. This is 4, so it has to be anywhere along this edge. Okay, not more than or not less than 4 away from it. There, perfect. Next one. Same again. 6 and 5. 6 means again it comes out on my side. And because there's a piece already on that side, I can be further in than the 5 minimum. But I must still be at least 5 away from all other terrain on the table. Right. So here, I can push it across there. Okay, it's far enough away from that one. Okay, lovely.
So the next piece is a built-up area, or BUA. Now these are special in that you don't dice for where they go down. Instead, the person who chose it can place where they go. And they can be placed along either short edge, along the long edge, or next to the BUA, next to the waterway, sorry. So I'm going to put my BUA down here, next to this edge, to totally seal off this flank. And there's one more piece of terrain to place, this enclosed field, and this is a normal piece of terrain, so I dice for it, same as before. And I've got 2 for side, so that's Anthony's side, and I've got 6 for distance. Now each terrain piece that has to go down has to be at least this distance dice from any other terrain piece. As you can see, it's going to be extremely difficult for me to place this piece somewhere where it's more than 6 base widths from any other terrain piece and still closer to the edge that I diced for, so this piece gets lost and we put it back in the box.
Now we come to step 3, where we make our deployment plans. All we have to do is record the relative position of each command in our armies. Here I have an example as a diagram. 3 commands, A as an ally and B baggage. Here is an alternative, this time with command 3 in reserve. If you prefer, you can write down the relative positions like this.
So, time to make a plan, my favourite part of a DBMM battle. For this, we need to consider the terrain, what troops are in our own army, and what troops are in the enemy army. Today I'm using the Sung Chinese. Here's my army list. It's a bit old and worn. It has 3 commands. The main command has a long line of bows and artillery. The second command has what little cavalry I'm allowed to have, and it also has some Zanmadao men, which Zanmadao is a horse chopping sword. They're blade X in DBMM terms, and they're excellent against knights. And it also has some light troops. And in the third command I have some thunderclap engines. These are artillery S in DBMM terms. There's also some fortifications to go around them, some more light troops, and lots of peasant hordes. Anthony today is using the Zhao army from the Warring States list. He has lots of mixed bow and spear elements, some powerful knight chariots, his attack force, and also he has a lot of light horse F, light cavalry, for getting around the flanks. So looking at the terrain, we can see that I have a very strong defensive position with a marsh here on my left flank and also a built up area. Very hard for Anthony to get around there. And over on this flank I have a waterway. Anthony also has a couple of gentle hills on his side, so he also potentially has a good position. Now I've marked out the deployment limits. Usually as the defender I'd be able to deploy up to 240 paces short of the centre line, as shown by this stick, and most of my troops must stay at least 800 paces from the short edge, as shown by this longer stick, but light troops can deploy up to 400 paces from the short edge, as shown by this short stick. Over here, even though there's a waterway, the deployment is still measured from the table edge. So I could just sit on the defensive, but given the strength of my army and the strength of the position, I think Anthony would be foolish to attack me frontally. So my guess he's going to do one of two things. Either he's going to sit on the defensive on one of these two hills, or he's going to sit on the defensive on one of these two hills and he's going to send one of his commands on a flank march, which is a technique that allows a command to arrive on the side edge partway during the battle. Now if he comes on over this side, that's fine, there's very little space here to come on and I can easily trap him and neutralise him there. He may also potentially come on this side using impressed shipping. That could be a little bit more dangerous because it's very exposed here, so the best thing to do there is just to go on the offensive and kill his army, that's part of his army that's on the table before his flank march arrives. So either way I need to prepare to go on the offensive. So the main part of the line will be deployed along here with the artillery and bows. On this side we'll have command 2 with the cavalry and the Zanmardao men. This is also a nice open area. Anthony would like to operate his chariots, but the Blade X will discourage him. And then over here I'll place my artillery battery here where it can shoot right up to that hill. We've got some light troops to occupy the marsh, and this area will fill up with hordes just in case a flank march arrives. So that's my plan. Command 1 in the centre, command 2 on the right, command 3 on the left, and the baggage will go down here at the edge of the table. So I need to go and write that down now.
And now for my plan. The Sung will advance across the table with their artillery and bow. The artillery will outrange my bow, so I would like to keep them behind the crests of the gentle hills. Then I have some light horse fast, which ideally I'd like to bring across the waterway as impress shipping. But they're in the CNC's command and he can't do that, so they will come at the very rear. This means that I will have command 2 on this hill, command 3 on this hill with Siloi that will push forward into the marsh, and command 1, the CNC, at the rear. And this is my plan. Now, step 4, deployment. First, both sides roll a dice. This will determine weather, time of day, and which side deploys first. I'm going to roll for both sides in this case. We have a difference of 2. So the weather score is 2, and what the weather exactly is can be found on page 24 in the rules. The total is 8, so the battle will commence at 8 AM. If both sides had rolled the same, for example 3 and 3, we would both roll again and add up all of the dice. So 6 plus 8, 14, and now the battle will commence at 2 PM. Normally, the defender will deploy first, unless the attacker has rolled double on that die roll. In this case, the defender did not, so the defender will deploy first. The side deploying first does so up to 240 paces from the center line. The side deploying second does so up to 400 paces from the center line.
Okay, so here's my deployment. The command 1 with the artillery and the bows is deployed in the center here. On the right we have the command with cavalry and also my Blade X chariot killers. On the left we have lots of militia horde blocking up the passage, and tribal auxilia defending the marsh, and the thunderclap engines deployed behind their fortifications here. Finally the baggage is at the back.
Now here is my deployment. At the rear we have the light horse command with the CNC. On my left the second command with double base bow X and chariots in support, and on my right another double base bow X command with chariots in support, Siloi out on the flank with some light horse, and 2 more artillery in the center. After both sides have deployed, we allocate pip dice to each command. Here I have marked H for high for my CNC, medium and low for the other 2 commands. So now we have finished the setup and we are ready to play the game. Normally the side that deploys first moves first. So take it away, Bob.